Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome back for another episode. This is Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections, and you are listening to the Networking RX podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. One of the things I talk about a lot on this program is adding value, giving to others, generosity, altruism. It has lots of different names. And I think really that's the linchpin for being successful with respect to building relationships and building a network, is being willing to give to the people around you. Now, what I hear from time to time is that this trips people up. I don't really know what to give, is something I hear. I try to be in tune to it. I don't want to say I'm great at it. Like everything, I think I'm a work in progress. I can be better. But it is something that I do focus attention on. And I don't know that it's always been this way, but it is certainly something that I'm in tune with. And people remark to me about it, that you seem to always be focused on giving to other people. Thank you for that affirmation. I certainly try. But I know it's something that not everybody, a lot of people aspire to. A lot of people aspire to it. Once somebody realizes that the secret to starting to build a great relationship is giving to them or giving to other people or being dubbed somebody generous, they start setting about trying to figure out how to do it. And it trips people up because it's not necessarily something that's second nature. We as humans are designed to survive. We're designed to survive. And so we get into survival mode, and part of survival mode is looking out for ourselves, and it's hard to look out for yourself and someone else at the same time. It's hard to give when you're trying to accumulate yourself, and even in business, when you're out there trying to sell and pitch yourself, it's hard to be thinking about other people. But the higher level of thinking is okay, if I think about others, eventually they'll think about me, or they will think about me. And that's part of human nature as well, is if you do something for someone else, you add value to someone else, you're going to be on their radar. Doesn't mean they're going to help you immediately. You certainly shouldn't expect it. But you're going to be creating value in the world, or creating, we'll call it karma. Divine intervention, however you want to determine it, but you sort of, you have little tallies in the positive side of your altruistic ledger, if you will. What I advise people with respect to giving, with respect to becoming better at giving, well, first you have to embrace the notion that it's important to give. Adding value to other people. And what I'll probably do is a separate episode next week talking about just the different types of things that you can give. But what you need to do to be successful is it certainly needs to be important to you. And I think the seeds of altruism, the seeds of giving, the seeds of adding value is really just being thoughtful about other people, being thoughtful. You want to help other people. That's got to be the beginning part. And certainly to give more, you need to focus more on giving. But the problem with focusing more on giving is that it's hard to hold your attention. And, it's easy in this moment to say, okay, I'm going to give more. New Year's Eve, I'm going to give more next year. I'm going to do more for other people. I'm going to contribute to my network. I'm going to add value. It's easy to say that in a moment, but hanging on to that thought becomes the difficult part. And it's true of a lot of things. It's not true exclusively of being more altruistic or adding value to people. Let's take weight loss, for example. It's easy to say, you know what, I'm going to just eat healthier. I'm going to make a point. I'm not going to eat as much. And to say that is very simple, and you can kind of, Monday morning or January 1st, whenever you've made this made this declaration, the day after you've made this declaration, I've got this new resolution, whether it's New Year or a new day or whatever it is, you've made this new resolution about doing a better job of eating healthier and not eating as much. It's, that first day is simple because you're really focused on it. Day 2 is a whole lot harder. Day 3, at some point you just forget about it. You can't keep track. You forget, oh, geez, I don't remember what I ate. And I think a lot of times eating, this may sound silly, but eating can be almost instinctive. I do, one of the many strange things about me is I fast every day. I fast for 16 hours. So if I have my last meal at 6 o'clock p.m., I'm not going to eat till 10 a.m. the next day. And it's something I've been doing for years, and I'm not encouraging anybody to do it or not do it. I'm not making it's just what I do. I just feel better doing it, and it certainly has helped me not eat late at night. It helped me focus. It's helped me keep a focus because I'm counting those 16 hours. And during the 8-hour period, I can pretty much eat anything, although I don't, because you just get used to not eating as much. This is not a podcast on weight loss or mindfulness about being healthy or anything like that, so I'll just leave it at that. But what I noticed is that there were times when I first started doing it where I would open something in the cupboard and I would reach for something, or I might grab something and almost put it in my mouth because it was almost instinctive. I'm hungry. It's my mind is telling me, my subconscious is telling me just to grab food. So it's hard to kind of maintain that focus about weight loss. And so what people have found to be successful is they'll keep track of what they're eating. They'll keep a journal. They'll keep a journal of how much they've eaten and how many calories, and they count it lots of different ways. And there was a time I did it for about 3 or 4 months, and it was very effective in helping me lose weight because I started to realize how many calories were in a bag of M&Ms. It's just a small bag of M&Ms. How bad can it be? Well, it's pretty bad. And you stop and you think about all that you're eating. And so that helps people kind of keep a focus on what they're eating and helps them focus on weight loss. And the same thing can be said for giving. One of the things I did years ago to help me become more focused on giving is I kept a journal. I kept a journal of the things that I did for other people. And I'll, again, devote a whole separate episode to talking about the different things that are on this hot list of things that you can do for other people. And it's a huge list. It's a huge list. I'm kind of looking forward to talking about that. But I would keep track of when I added value, when I did things. And it was never about keeping score. I might put somebody's name in there. I gave a referral to Gina or Tom, or I'd throw a name in there. But it was never to keep score. It was never for me to go back to Gina and say, hey, wait a minute, don't you remember on whatever date I did this? It was a journal for me. It was a journal for me, and I would write the date, and I would write what I had done for somebody or the community or whatever it was. And I would write it in there, and it would, again, I wasn't keeping score. But what I found, and I kept the journal on my desk at my office, what I found was that journal called to me. I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, and maybe it is, but when I would look at that journal and it was, let's say April 15th was the last date I gave to someone, and I realize it's May 2nd, and I haven't done something, it kind of bothered me. And that's what I mean by it called to me. It kind of bothered me that I hadn't done something. And so I really became in tune to, I need to focus more on trying to help other people. I need to really have something in here every day, maybe a couple things every day. And so your mind goes searching for things to do for other people. You develop this habit of trying to find ways to help people. Um, when I kind of went through this exercise, I actually wrote a book called The Giving Journal, Achieving Success Through Focused Generosity. And The Giving Journal is a book that is really only about 40 pages long. I believe you can still get it on Amazon. If not, I think we sell them for $5, including postage. We'll mail one out. I'll even sign it. Just shoot me an email. But when I wrote it, I thought, okay, maybe what I'll do is I'll make it a 100-page book and have a lot of blank pages in there that people can write in. And I realized, that book's gonna, just by the cost of paper and whatnot, that book's gonna be cost 2 or 3 times more than what it needs to cost. And so I made it real small. But the point is that you don't need to have anything great to keep a journal. Just a notepad. Or just, for me it was nice because I wanted to go and page through and look at all the different things that I had done. So I'm kind of anal like that. I wanted it to be kind of a nice journal, a composite, a college composite book, and that's what I ended up using. But it could be anything. It could be just paper in a 3-ring binder. It doesn't matter. But by focusing on it, I just found that I was giving more and more and more. And that, again, I'm going to do a whole program on giving and just different ideas for giving. But I devote a chapter in the book, and again, it's a short book, and the title of the chapter is "Not All Giving is Equal." And what I talk in there about is just to kind of give people a sense as to, I'm going to read from it here in a minute, but it talks about, well, what is giving? What is generous? It starts out, this book is about giving. It's about helping you create a heightened sense of generosity. This begs the question, are you generous? No doubt you answer a confident yes to that question. Again, nobody's going to declare themselves, I'm not generous, right? I'm not reading anymore. But if you stop and think about it, of course we're going to say we're generous. We're going to seize upon that thing we did. I did this. I gave to the charity. I'm generous. Okay, that was 6 months ago. And so it says, putting your own situation aside, is someone else generous? And the answer is, it's easy for us to say, yeah, we are, but it's easy to say that someone else isn't. And so, kind of goes on and says, well, if you do one thing, are you generous? If I give to a charity, if I give to the church one time, am I generous? Arguably yes, but arguably no. So where do you draw the line? Is it 2 times? Is it 3? Is it 4? And I go on, I'll read again here. Maybe it's not the quantity, but the quality. Is it the magnitude of the gift? Does $1 million gift make a person generous? If someone gives $1 million, 10 times more generous than somebody who gives $100,000, again, the answer is not necessarily the case. However, if the answer is no, how much more is it? If it's more, how much more is $1 million gift than a $100,000 gift? You argue as to how much people have. I mean, somebody who's worth billions and billions of dollars, $1 million is nothing. Somebody who's worth $2 million, $1 million is a lot. So maybe it's a quality test, but the test is relative. Do we determine whether someone is generous by the magnitude of giving or to what she has to offer? Could someone making a $10,000 gift be as generous as someone giving $1 million gift? Certainly it's possible. And go on to say, the fact of the matter is that the determination as to whether someone is generous is not absolute. There is not a clear line separating those who are generous and those who are not. One act of giving over a lifetime does not necessarily make someone generous, but the act still represents generosity. And even among people who are truly generous, there's a degree of disparity. There are people who are generous out of a sense of obligation, and there are people who are generous simply because it's the right thing to do. It is probably no revelation that there are varying degrees of types of generosity. In fact, I devoted an entire podcast episode to this notion. The title of it is Rambam's Ladder, and that was, get this, that was episode 15, which I released on December 4th, 2018. This is episode 339. Anyhow, done a lot of episodes, but if you go back and listen to episode 15, I talk about Rambam's Ladder, and Rambam is a rabbi who developed a system, and I'm not going to go through. There's 8 steps, starting with the reluctant giver. Oh, okay, here's money, and then kind of going all the way up to, the highest order of giving is giving to somebody so they never have to ask again. Basically teaching them to fish. Not giving them a fish, but teaching them to fish. It's really the highest order of giving. And in between, there's all sorts of different levels. So there are varying degrees of giving out there. But the notion behind the giving journal, or the notion behind helping yourself become better at giving, is just being more intentional about it, being more thoughtful, and creating the habit. And I think that a great way, I'm sure there are other ways, but a great way to do this is to just start keeping track of the things you're giving. Create a journal. You don't have to do it for a lifetime. Do it for a month or so. You're not tracking calories where you're eating, 3 meals a day. You're just, as you do something, you just, you kind of jot it down in a journal. It's that simple. But that journal will kind of call to you. It's like, boy, it's been 5 days, or you didn't do anything yesterday. How about today? Why not do something today? So anyhow, just a thought, something to consider with respect to giving. To wrap things up, remember, we're looking for some enterprising business types to join our team as franchisees of AmSpirit Business Connections. Our franchisees work with entrepreneurs, sales reps, and professionals in their area to help them become more successful through networking and the exchange of quality business referrals. And this is a structured weekly morning meeting. This is a unique franchise opportunity because these meetings happen in the morning. It allows our franchisees to continue to operate their business or profession as well. So a few hours in the morning, a couple days a week, they're working the AmSpirit Business Connections system, generally done by 9 a.m. The rest of the time, they're on doing whatever they're doing. They're business professionals, they're coaches, they're consultants, travel agents, kind of runs the gamut. And the two kind of network with one another. They essentially make more money by building business connections, make more money for their regular business because they're building these connections, but at the same time they're making money as they pull these connections together. If you're interested, reach out to me. If you're interested, reach out to me, or if you know somebody, have them reach out to me. Either way, use my email, which is in the show notes and at the end of this podcast.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.